And there we go. Just like that, we back in it like we never left. Labor Lounge Live is back on track. June 30th. I got Baby Yoda with me. We ready to get this started. We talking about current events and some more ish. Professor is back with us. It's been a long time. How you been, young blood?
You know, I've been doing what I could do when I could do it. You know, chilling over here, moving, grooving, shaking, baking, baby. Let's get it.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about. We got LeBron James in the news. Obviously, he got his son playing basketball with him. Bronny James has joined the Lakers. 55th draft pick in the second round. We got the presidential debate that just took place. Of course, we got to talk about that. We have Julio Fulio, who recently lost his life at his 26th birthday party while he was celebrating. So it's no shortage of news of things that we could talk about. So we're going to talk about all that and more on today's episode. Should be a good show. So we're going to go ahead and get into opening up a can of worms. Like, you could go viral tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in
Soul Connect
to another episode of the Labor Lounge. We appreciate you. Labor Lounge, that's right, we can work it out. All that issue can't talk at work, we can talk about. Labor Lounge, I ain't gonna argue with ya. I'ma hit you with these facts so that you can get the picture. Hey.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. It's hot over in the studio today. I'm not feeling the AC whatsoever.
Yikes! What's going on with your AC?
The AC good. It just ain't making it over here to the office. But you know what? We'll take care of that in a little bit. Outside of that, though, everything been good with you?
Man, everything is copacetic, bro. Can't go ahead and be any better.
So let's kick off. Let's talk about LeBron James, his son being drafted, number 55 in the second round, first father-son duo to ever play in the NBA. Obviously a huge accomplishment. LeBron James, you know, he was the puppet master behind all of that stuff. It's no secret that he knew what he was doing. Him and Clutch Sports, they got that stroke. So what's your thoughts on this? And I know if Primo was here, he would have a lot to say because he knows I'm not necessarily a LeBron fan, but I gotta respect some things about it. But I want to get your input on LeBron and his dynasty. So go ahead and have that.
Really and truly, man, you know, this type of thing happens so often that, you know, they have a special word for it, right? And it's when you're hiring specifically just from your family, and the word escapes me, but this is nothing that's uncommon. You know, the only difference is we see it typically with other demographics. So part of me feels like, man, nepotism. There it goes. Thank you.
Shout out to G Max. Boy, he on time every time.
Yo, listen, G Max, you know, so, you know, and the fact of the matter is this happens so often that they had to make a word to define it. Only difference is I don't think it has happened in our culture as often as it's happened in other cultures. So part of me is like, man, it's unfortunate that when they were describing you know, Bronny, they was like, he's not going to make it against the rest of the contenders in the NBA. He wasn't putting up numbers like an individual that would be considered a threat. He didn't have anything that was special about him. So people are like, man, we're mad about that. But then you could go ahead and make a case in point with Giannis and Thanasis. That's a 2-for-1 package that has to deal with nepotism. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's in the culture, it's there, but part of me is like, you know what? Everybody else is doing it. Go ahead and do it. The other part of me is like, he's unqualified. So I really don't know how to feel about it, man. I'm on the fence about it, man. I'm not going to lie to you because it's like part of me, like I said, feels like he's unqualified. The other part of me is like, well, everybody else is doing it.
So I got a couple things about it, right? So
Mhm.
first things first is this. I'm still not a LeBron James fan. When it comes to basketball, I am not a LeBron James fan. And this conversation always goes south, especially when you bring in that liquid courage into the mix. It is what it is. But I do respect the fact that LeBron James, he's a businessman, and he's also showing us what power actually looks like, right? So just imagine LeBron James plays for the Lakers, which is one of the bigger teams in the league.
Mhm.
They had to bend to his will and say, you know what, I need my son to be drafted here. You know that conversation took place. It might not have necessarily happened in the public eye, but you know behind the scenes, LeBron James was pulling those strings, right?
Definitively.
And lo and behold, it happened. So imagine a organization like the Lakers having to say, you know what, we need to get this man's son here, right? You got people saying, oh, well, he should have stayed in school because he's not ready for the NBA. Well, what better place to get ready than in the G League and get paid for it, right? So now you got an income coming in. It's not like he has to get up and go work. His father's a playing billionaire. He's going into what, his 21st, 22nd year. Like, why go to school? I got you. Just come over here and let me show you how to start getting money, not only from the NBA. You know he's already tied into clutch sports. He's got it all going for him. So the nepotism, like you just said, was brought him in, and he's keeping that all into the family. Him being ready, that can happen over time. His dad is LeBron James. He can hire the best trainers in the world. He's going to be playing on the G League or the D League. He's going to be coming off the bench. He's going to be playing with the people who are already in the NBA. So it really don't matter. Oh, he could have stayed in college, but then he would have risked having an injury in college and possibly never making it into the NBA, right?
That part.
He could have had a health issue. He already had his heart court, right? And I don't know if they figured out the underlying condition behind that, but just think about if it happens again. Then he never gets to touch the NBA. So there's a lot that goes into it. So not being ready doesn't mean that you can't get ready. But the fact of the matter is LeBron James is showing people right now. Well, are you confused?
Not being ready
doesn't mean
that you can't get ready.
Yeah.
That's not what the NBA is. It's not a practice grounds for anybody. That's NBA.
Historically,
NBA definitively is a place where the greatest of greatest players play.
You saw that change this week, sir.
Okay.
You saw that change this week because it just happened.
Can we talk about the organic definition of what's supposed to happen? Right. The thought process of this is that you have a professional league and you have a bunch of other leagues under it, right? But that professional league is when you are the top echelon of elite players anywhere. You make it to the NBA, you are better than everybody else. It's not come practice. I know you can always get better. That goes without saying, but you don't do that. Nobody goes to NASCAR to practice. Nobody goes to the NHRA to go practice. Nobody goes to the MLB to go practice. They don't go to the NFL to go practice. You can't say you could get better. What that means is spend a little bit more time back and we'll spin the block if you go ahead and make a buzz. That's what that means whenever you're like, yo, just because you're not better doesn't mean you can't get better, right? You could go ahead and do that elsewhere. You don't have to do that here. We're paying you top dollar. We ain't paying you top dollar to practice. We want to see something that makes you exceptional above the rest so that when we develop you, you're the greatest of all time. That's what's supposed to happen.
In theory, that's what you're saying, right? But you literally just defined the whole G League, D League and all these other leagues they have, right? You have players out there who are, what do they say? I don't know the name of the contract, but they play like so many games in the NBA, and the rest of their season is in the G League, right?
Mhm.
That's because they're actually honing those skills in the G League, and they might get some playing time in the big leagues. That's literally the way that goes. So, and remember, he was drafted number 55, right? That's a throwaway draft pick if you really sit back and think about it. Those players are not going to be getting prime time spots. Well, in college, they call it red shirted. Two-way contract. Thank you, G-Max. They're called two-way contracts where they get playing time in the NBA and they get playing time in the G League, and that's so they can get better to be able to hang in the big leagues. That's literally what you just described, and they do that.
Put him in the G League and wait for him to get better for the NBA.
That's what they do. It's almost like
Nah, leave him there. Nah, he don't need to be here. Thanasis need to go too. Like all of these so players don't need to be here.
But look at where we started at. I just said LeBron James has showed people what power looks like. The LA Lakers had to bend to his will. Okay, we all can say
they didn't have to, but they
no, they had to.
How do you figure they had to?
Because first of all, the Lakers aren't winning, but people are still watching simply because LeBron James is there. He's the draw. If anybody would have got Bronny, LeBron James probably would have been out of there. Matter of fact, supposedly, allegedly, LeBron James was threatening teams like, yo, don't draft this kid because there's a plan for him already. So think about all of that. That's the stroke that he has, and it's LeBron James and his side business, Clutch Sports, which I don't even want to call, that's probably his main business now. Clutch has that type of stroke. They stopped people from drafting him specifically so he could play on the Lakers with his father. That's what power looks like. That's what money and influence does for you. Straight up. And that's what LeBron is able to wield right now. So as much as I don't like LeBron James, the basketball player, I think he kind of soft. But he making some power plays. Let me get some of these comments in real quick.
Go ahead, brother.
G Max, he gave me all the answers to the stuff I was trying to talk about. So players got two-way contracts. Many project players in the NBA, the entire Heat's roster. Or he said, look at the Heat's roster, not the entire Heat's roster. And then the Heat drafted Napier because LeBron James said he liked him. So again, LeBron has been showing strokes since he's been with the Miami Heat. The man got it.
Let's be clear, right? For what's happening is a lot of times you'll have some of the teams cater to their star player, right? And it's happening more often than not these days, which is kind of wild, right?
Is more than catering, my boy.
But really and truly, we could say, okay, LeBron has power, and he's making these moves, and he's has Clutch Sports, and he's going ahead and telling people what to do and what not to do, whatever. Can we also look at it as convenience for the Lakers? Like, to have a father and son duo is a main attraction. That's kind of something that people want to see. It's wholesome. It's great for ratings. It's beneficial for the NBA. Even if LeBron didn't suggest it, it would have been a ticket bringer, having a father and son duo on the same team. You get what I'm saying?
You know what's funny? I don't know if you've been online today, but I heard a clip where Paul Pierce said that same exact thing. He was basically saying that they're not chasing rings anymore. They're just chasing ratings.
I'm trying to tell you, because it's money, man. And if you look at it, it's like everything that's being done is to appease it, because there are more eyes on the NBA that aren't the traditional eyes that you're used to seeing, the traditional sports fans, right? You got women going ahead and looking. You got, everybody going ahead and looking that wasn't looking before at the NBA. So now it's become bigger than what it was before, and now you're serving a larger demographic, so you start to cater to what they want too, because their eyes equates to money, right? When they see LeBron doing Taco Tuesday and she just sees LeBron's wife, but she feels like she could relate to LeBron's wife. Now she's going to tune in to go ahead and see it. Oh my God. My mom, hilarious, talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to watch the game because LeBron is on. I'm going to watch LeBron. Right? My mom is like, yo, I'm going to watch LeBron. She's not watching the team. She's watching LeBron. So it's like, it's these things that go ahead and, like you say, yes, you have a draw, but at the same time, this is mutually beneficial. Nobody would do this unless it benefited them too. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, is it power or is it convenience? Because you're never bigger than the team.
Yeah, he is. LeBron's bigger than
Wow,
the team.
you know what? You are every coach's nightmare. If you guys want to write in Labor Lounge podcast at Gmail.
I'm every coach's nightmare?
Yes,
hey, G-Max. Hold on, wait. G-Max, there. How many coaches has LeBron James had in the past 10 years? And you said I'm every coach's nightmare? And
no,
G-Max,
because you confirmed a statement that is always the center point. Like, yo, no one player is bigger than the team. So whenever you think you're a star, the coach will go ahead and send you off to go ahead and prove a point to you. Like, bro, we'll do it without you. So it's like that's the sentiment. You get what I'm saying? You know what sentiment I'm talking about. Come on.
In this case, LeBron James is sending off the coach.
Yo, that's what you doing right now. Yo, you saying, yo, you
LeBron James be like, this guy can't coach. Get him out of there. Now he got JJ Redick in there. Now he got JJ. He got JJ.
Yo, and he already, JJ Redick already getting heat too. That's a whole different other ballpark.
It's amazing how when somebody get in the spotlight,
all of a sudden,
their dirty laundry start to come out.
Yo, that's why.
And one of those clips, I couldn't even really make out if he was saying what they said he was saying. It was real fuzzy. But then he had some emails. It was like, Jesus, what the heck is going on, Mr. Reddick?
Yo, it's unfortunate. It's crazy. It's ill-timed. But now I figured that this is what the world likes. So if you have anything on you, don't go and ascend to a point where the eyes are on you. Because it's going to come out. Whatever it is that you got going on in the back, gonna come to the front. You want to be the president? It's coming to the front. All right. you want to be a basketball coach and you on TV all the time? What's in the back? Come to the front.
It's funny, man, because half that stuff I feel like people forgot about it. They just be like, oh yeah, that's just something that happened. It's 20 years ago. And then bam, there it is right there in your face. All right. So before we go ahead, you had something?
No, I was gonna say it depends on what culture you're from. The new age culture, cancel culture, that stuff really matters. Old school would definitely feel like ours 20 years ago, it's whatever.
All right. So always remember, pro sports is always a business first. They made a business decision, and LeBron James, not bigger than the team, but much bigger than the coach.
Hey, you know, Greg,
Lakers had a dynasty before LeBron, so I can see that.
I rock with that, Greg. Yeah, I rock with that, man.
Because the Lakers, they had better years without LeBron. So here's what it is.
Listen, man, the show must go on, my friend.
Absolutely. All right, so that's LeBron. So best of luck to Bronny James. We'll see how that plays out for him. And we gonna keep going. So presidential debate, man. Let's talk about this. I know this is something that this is gonna be in the news for quite some time. I got to watch most of it, right? Kind of hard to watch in certain spots, embarrassing in a lot of ways. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna play this news clip that we got real quick. It's about 5 minutes, and I'm gonna let it play through its entirety. Just so we can kind of get some foreground and some background, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the whole thing in the whole, what we take away from it, and what do you think the current state of affairs when it comes to politics. Here we go.
Well, this is a bombshell. Listen closely. We're getting new reporting about what's going on at the Biden campaign as we speak. Doug Cass, a hedge fund owner A big DNC insider just posted this. Quote, what I am hearing regarding Joe Biden, Ron Klain, that's the former chief of staff, and Barack Obama are having a sit down with the president today. Joe Biden is insistent that Joe's running. Kamala is furious that she is not being considered as a replacement. Whitmer and Newsom are. Interestingly, my neighbor in East Hampton is hosting the Bidens tomorrow. It will be an important tell if the fundraiser is canceled. Whoa. Okay, let's take this piece by piece. This is the claim of one hedge fund owner. But Tammy, let's start with the first part. Ron Klain and Barack Obama having a sit down. That has the potential to boomerang because Obama encouraged Biden to stay out the first time and cede that ground to Hillary. Reporting says Biden was upset by that. So that could boomerang in Biden's face, or Obama's face, I should say.
Yeah, I think that this also shows you that now we've got leadership coming in, has a mission. And I don't think Cass is going to post something like that without permission. You're not going to go with gossip when you're an insider. So there's a point, in a way, that they're still playing this out publicly with that kind of messaging. Why put Kamala Harris in that position as the angry outsider who's being pushed under the bus? Fascinating decision. So I think that this is a problem in general, that you've, once again, to your earlier point, that this is being perhaps addressed moment by moment, people getting in, people trying to persuade, and that the nation is in that kind of condition right now.
Now, Jason, this is not Fox News' reporting. I just want to point this out. This is one person who could have his own motives. Maybe he wants someone different. But the second piece of what he said is Jill Biden is insistent that Joe is running. That rings as true to me based on this last night. Jason, I know she's a teacher, but that is how I talked to my child. Good job. You answered all the questions.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden likes being president, quite frankly. I think and the problem here is there's not a natural succession plan. The idea that Kamala Harris, I mean, the only person that's less popular than Joe Biden, even after that performance, is Kamala Harris. And the party and the nation, I think, is frightened to actually put her up there. But look at the way she had to lead Joe Biden away from the podium. Look, and Republicans, I think, would do well to just sit back and shut up and don't talk about, just run the Democrats, let the Democrats sort this out, let them talk about it, and just shut up and let them deal with it. They created this problem, so they got to live with it.
They did. And I mean, Doug Cass says Kamala's furious and Newsom and Whitmer are being considered. I mean, whoa, who do you think should be the replacement?
Well, first, I want to say that the vice president did a phenomenal job last night, by all accounts. Of, Democrats who last night were bedwetting about Joe Biden said, and people who are not Kamala Harris fans, she said, she did a wonderful job. She was honest. She was forthright. She talked about policy. I think she's been doing a much better job on the stump, especially with women and communities of color. So I would not sleep on her. And look, I have always said if either party nominated someone else for president, they would win by 10. And so I think the Republican Party, be careful what you wish for. If Joe Biden, for some reason, decides not to run, I think that would spell the end for Donald Trump's campaign. I think even if it's Kamala Harris, I believe that. And what I don't want, my very last point, what I don't want is the problem at the top of the ticket to affect the Senate races and the House races and the governor's races. The Democrats have to win across this country to prevent the extremist Republican actions across the country. That's what I don't want.
And I hear what you're saying. I think the Trump camp would probably agree with you that Joe Biden is a weak nominee. But here's the counter to that is when you look at polling, Newsom fares worse than Biden does against Trump. Kamala fares worse. And if you replace them as, maybe that's not true in practice,
well,
but some of these folks, Newsom doesn't have the name ID.
If you also insert RFK Jr. into that polling, Democrats do even worse. And, Gavin Newsom, he is not popular in California. They have turned their backs on his leadership because taxes are high, homelessness is high, and he is in denial. So now he's trying to pivot with this national message because He wants to be the replacement. He wants to be this last-minute savior. He is a better communicator than both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Unfortunately, he is communicating a god-awful record. She was not honest last night. She had the worst spin of anyone about his debate performance. Even Anderson Cooper had a very pointed critique of the president, and he went back to her twice, and she was like, well, yeah, slow start, strong finish. It's like, what were you watching?
Yeah, I've never seen Anderson Cooper that hot. That was interesting to watch.
Hey, everyone. I'm
so there you go. So obviously, and that's Fox News, right? So you know they weigh heavy on one side. So we're going to try to stay as unbiased as we possibly can. But honestly, watching the debate, man, it was obviously one side was stronger than the other, just from a communication standpoint. But I think it's just embarrassing that our current president can't even get up there and articulate himself. And I don't even know if he's to blame, bro, because I feel like he's just a puppet being manipulated, and they really don't want to let go. But after they saw this performance, they're just like, oh, he got to get out of there now. We can't have this. Or was this all a plan in the first place? String them on as long as possible until we could switch somebody out. So your thoughts on the debate and all the backlash he's getting?
He was never qualified to begin with. He was the lesser of two evils. Never saw him as a candidate that was fit to go ahead and run this country. It was choose him. So the other guy who says crazy stuff doesn't, get a hold of this country to go ahead and undo things that I feel like are grounds that keep us in a stable environment. He likes to undo things and then redo them because turns out we actually needed them, but that's neither here nor there. Biden, it's unfortunate, man. Like the choices that we have are insulting. It's an embarrassment. As far as representation of this country, to put this, like, I don't feel the government is doing their job, so I think the same way we were just talking about the NBA and how ratings and other things will go ahead and drive like certain things to go ahead and happen. I think that's the same thing with the politics now too. I think the Democrats have adopted a can't beat them, join them type of operation where they're like, hey, let's put a puppet here so we can go ahead and have it here and we can do what we want to. They feel like they're probably doing it for the good of the people. So when they feel like their actions are motivated by righteousness, they don't feel so bad as doing the same thing as the Republicans, just putting a puppet there for, people to go ahead and control. Because it's the unfortunate thing is he's not fit to run this country. He was just a safer option. And it's sad because even though he was the safer option, some of the things that he's dropped the ball on is just so weird. It's just like, all right, man. Okay, thanks a lot for being our placeholder, but I think it's time for a change. I don't necessarily think the change is Donald Trump, but I definitely do think it's time for a change. But yeah, he was treated like a 6-year-old by Jill Biden. She's like, yeah, good job answering questions, yeah, like, and everybody gets fired up on good job. Like, it's the bare minimum, man. You remember when these things used to be taken seriously? Now it's just like, a popularity contest and, look at me, I did a cartwheel. That's kind of what I feel like, bro. That's all I got, family.
So you said that it was the safer option. Could you elaborate on that for me?
So at the time, we had an individual that wasn't necessarily focusing on the things that, and I think this is probably debatable, right? Focusing on the immigration problems and things of that nature, and he ramped that up, and also it's the same individual that led the insurrection. So it's like, when you're thinking about these types of things, I understand that a lot of people make a lot of money under Trump, but when you vote for him, you have to trade your morals for your finances, because there are certain things you have to turn a blind eye to, and then you're like, well, I don't care about that. I just care about my money. If that's the case, then how can I be mad at somebody telling the truth to me? But realistically, Biden at that time was the safer option. This guy was doing collusion with Russia. He was doing all kinds of risky type of stuff that is unbecoming of a president. So that's all. Is that enough elaboration on that?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get a little bit of the thought process, because I think some of the things that you mentioned, we're in far worse shape right now, especially when you talk about immigration, the issues with Russia, and that whole issue with Ukraine, all the money that we're filtering over there right now. I don't know if it was more so, I think people made a decision based off, we just need him out, versus we really don't know what this guy's going to do, but it's just better than having him in there. And then when you talk about people's money, I mean, I think it's clear that most people were in far better shape in the previous 4 years than the current 4 years when it comes to money, right? What they say, eggs weren't $7 8 years ago.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot.
Grocery shopping feels
though.
a lot. Going grocery shopping feels a lot different today than it felt 8 years ago. And we could, you could take that in a couple different directions, but
yeah, because that's not a fair statement.
These emotional decisions that people are making are not necessarily what's best for the situation we're in. Now, could we have better representation? Absolutely. But we got to look at this thing for face value. We have 4 for 4. We got 4 years of one and 4 years of the other. Which 4 years were you doing better in?
So you see, this is a loaded question, right? Anybody who is familiar with government and politics and understanding how the transition of presidency happens, they know that the changes that you make don't immediately go into effect. You don't see the results of the changes that you make in your first term until the next term, right? So effectively, when the next president is coming into play, they're coming into a situation that's already on autopilot and already in a good space. So you can't give that sitting president the credit for the state of the situation right then and there. There are certain things that, they can do that can affect it immediately. There's certain changes they can do, like, when they took away Affordable Health Care Act, and a lot of people were suffering, and they were on board with it because they thought it was Obamacare. But when they found out it was Affordable Health Care Act, then they were like, oh, shoot, right? They didn't know that that's what they were voting away, which was benefiting them. But you see, what I'm saying is this: everybody knows this, right? If you have a president that's sitting in there for both terms, then you're going to have them sitting in on the actual changes that they made in the previous term, because that's long enough of a term for you to see those results. If you have a president that sits in for 4 years, right, and they make changes, those changes are not going to take effect until the next term. So effectively, Joe Biden was walking into a crap sandwich, right? He's not any better. Don't let me confuse you. He's not any better. We just talking. We have to understand that he walked into a bad situation. This wasn't the situation he created. This is the end result of the previous individual. Now, let's talk about immigration. The unfortunate thing with immigration is this is a inflated situation, right? And the reason why I say that is because there is a little bit of willful ignorance as well as some purposeful moves in the backfield. When you don't want something to happen, right, or you want to prove your point, you will aid it in happening just so you can go ahead and say, see, I told you this was a problem. When you have Republican states going ahead and busing these immigrants into the Democrat states just to go ahead and prove a point, right? To prove a point to them, like, oh, you ain't got a problem with immigration? Let's put them there. First and foremost, the states where these immigrants were coming from were way larger and way able to accommodate some immigrants coming in, as opposed to busing them into other places that are more dense and more, there's less places for them to go. So that was kind of by design. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that you can say like, see, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem because they created it. They bust them over there, right? Like, let's keep it a buck. Like, we're just being honest. I'm not saying that it didn't become a problem, but at the same time, we're not just going to act like this was holistic and organic. These immigrants didn't cross all the way up into these states that they're in now. They got bused there. That's not the same thing. So it's like they're sitting there trying to prove a point saying, oh, man, look at the state of immigration today. It's such a problem. Oh, my God. But they did that. They did that. Like, yo, that's so messed up that we sit there and overlook the fact that they were the ones who bust them there. They created that problem. It's simple logistics. You can't put a 12-ounce beer into a shot glass. Nobody's dumb enough to think that can happen. So when it does happen, how are we going to go ahead and overlook the fact that this is what's happening? So when you speak to these points, far be it from me to be like Joe Biden is qualified for these situations. I will not say that. But also, I'm still going to put everything in the correct context. Land my plan, my friend.
I mean, it gives context, but correct can be debatable, right?
Can it?
Correct can be debatable.
Can it?
Because here's the thing. If you vote, some of these places voted to be asylum-seeking cities, right? So when these people came in, you can't expect a state that says, well, we're not going to do this. Why should I hold on to it? Well, they ship them to where they say they're going to be asylum-seeking cities. What's wrong with that?
Well, here's the thing, right? A lot of these places didn't ask for you to bus the amount of people that came in there. And a lot of these places were smaller in
but they couldn't stay here because we didn't sign up for this.
No. The reason why they couldn't stay there was because, you see, there was a big push to get on board with, Big Papa Bear, aka Trump. Trump was the one who started the movement of the immigration being a problem. Everybody wanted to be in his good graces, so therefore they're like, yo, let's hop on board this movement if you know what's good with you, because if you go ahead and get him upset, you could go ahead and be out of there in no time, bro. He don't hold on to nobody, all right? So my man goes ahead and has this type of cutthroat attitude, and everybody wants to be favored in his grace because they think that what he wants to do, where he wants to eliminate terms and just forever be the president, like this is going to be a thing. If this happens and this is our guy, hey, man, let's get on board with what he said. What he say? Yeah, there's a problem with immigrants are the problem, bro. Yeah, it's the issue. So then that's when everything became a problem. It was never a problem before. Everybody was dealing with this stuff, no issue. Okay, you come here, whatever. You could get sent back. Some people stay, some people go. It was whatever. Man, I live down there. You live down there. So it's like, yo, it's not an issue. Nobody was sitting there really going ahead and dying for the jobs that they were doing. Nobody wants to do the jobs that the immigrants do. That's the funny part about it. That's where it gets so weird. Now you're wondering why prices of things go up, because you got to have somebody else that's not going to do it for the same price that the immigrants were doing it for. So all of a sudden, the same people that you go ahead and you want gone are the same people that you were benefiting from. And you find out the hard way, when everything goes up in price because of the labor that you got to go ahead and have domestically. And domestically, man, people who were sitting here in call centers were going out there to go try to go work. Man, they went ahead and quit. They didn't even last a week. Okay, they wouldn't last a week as being anybody who's in the agriculture industry. All of the jobs that the immigrants had, they wouldn't even last a week. So now, how do we not understand that this all came from above, and this was a created synthetic problem? It wasn't as distorted and exponential as he made it. You understand what I'm saying?
I think I get what you're trying to say, but I think you're focused on one microcosm of this situation, right? You have an abundance of migrants pouring over the borders, right? I mean, just coming in. You have countries emptying their prisons, and people are coming across the borders, and boom, here they come into the country, okay? Now they're here, and because we're asylum seeking, we have to provide resources for the people that are coming over, i.e., they close schools to house them there. They're putting them in the hotels to house them there. And then fast forward a couple years later, now they're saying they don't like the food that they're being given, so they need to have food that's culturally relevant to them, right? And we bend at our will. We bend to the will, and we start providing these type of things. Then they get so emboldened to say, you know what? The conditions we're living in are unacceptable, and now they're shutting down parks and schools where kids are supposed to be playing recreational sports, and they can't even do that anymore. And we're providing all these resources to migrants who came here illegally, right? So the problem is much bigger than just a bus taking them to a city that says they're an asylum seeker. There's a lot of resources being poured into housing migrants and making sure that they have a standard to life. Now, okay, it's one thing to be running from your country because, for whatever reason, you're seeking asylum. But that's not what's happening. You got to understand, this is like that game they call BS, right? You ever played BS?
Yeah.
The card game? So if I say I'm putting down 3 threes, but I sneak 5 cards in, this is exactly what's happening, right? Because if I can empty prisons a little bit, this is what I'm going to do. So it's a much bigger problem. There's no control to the amount of people that's coming across the borders. Now let's talk about this same migrant situation, right? Now you have the alleged illegal voters, right? People being assigned voter registration. Then you have migrants who said, you know what, it's okay for them to arm themselves. Okay, so now you got migrants who are voting, right? Now you got migrants who are legally allowed to carry guns. You got migrants who are here committing crimes, getting locked up, and then getting released the same day. So it's a lot going on with the whole migrant situation. Go ahead.
What migrants have voters cards? When did that happen?
I read that report months ago. Let me see. Yeah.
Because I definitely want some clarification on that. I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that,
so I mean, just for clarity, I could say allegedly, but this is in the reports. Okay, let me say that. All right, so it's not something that I'm going out, but these are what's the news reports that I'm reading and hearing about. So let's just say all these things are true. It just plays into the whole fact that the reason this is happening is because they're seeking new voters. And when I say they, I'm talking Democrats.
I'm going to put an asterisk by that one, right? I'm also going to say that, you know what? I agree that there is the game of BS being played. I used to be a card carrying Democrat. When my eyes got clear to a lot of things that happen in the government, I just started looking at both of them objectively. And I don't have a dog in the fight at this point. I've always said this, and I'll stand on it. The game of BS that's being played, though, in all honesty, is by the Republicans. They are lying as far as what they're doing. You know, we've always had people come from different countries, and it's been like this, right? Statistics are there to go ahead and show you. Our Border Patrol has locked down a lot of that whole situation. It's never been an issue. It's never been an issue until somebody said it was an issue. The BS comes in at people going ahead and fabricating this. I believe in my heart of hearts, I think they were told to let them in. I think that's why we saw an influx rapidly, conveniently around a particular time. And I think that's where the situation becomes funny. Can I go ahead and prove this? No, this is just my theory, right? So I'm being honest about it. I'm never going to go ahead and say anything is fact. But the way that things looked and the way that the run-of-the-mill type of strategy that Republicans are good for, they're good for creating situations. If I had to look at them as being successful to get to the objective without criticizing them for anything bad, Republicans are top dog. They are top dog when it comes to getting to the objective. They don't play. They are not beyond doing anything. They do it. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm not being biased, if I'm not being morally centered, if I'm not in a space of trying to care about the people, and we're just talking about getting to the destination, Republicans are them. They are them. They are them. They are them. They're unmatched. The Democrats have this, I want to look good about them. They're trash, but they just want to look good. That's what they have. They have the, I want to look good. I want to give the appearance that I'm doing this. So it almost gives you this element of good cop, bad cop. But they're both in cahoots. So when I look at this seems like it's right in line with what Republicans will do. Here's this guy. He doesn't play fair. Okay. He's going to get the job done. Doesn't matter how he has to do it. Puts out the dog whistle. Everybody automatically knows to get on point with what he's saying. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. You never said it was a problem until he got here. Right? And we've been here for God knows how long. Nobody's ever said this was a problem. Oh my God, it's crazy, whatever, Lord. You know, it was an issue that they dealt with the same way that they dealt with education, the same way that they dealt with crime, the same way that they dealt with, you know, anything else in the government. It was just a regular run-of-the-mill topic. He took it. He triggered the party that he wanted to trigger. He got his fan base. He got the job done.
You know, I like having these C average conversations, right? Because I don't want to come off like I'm, and that's not an insult. Listen, that's not an insult. But what I'm saying is there's always room to learn something, okay? Now, I think, personally, it's always been a problem. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I think that this is something I think it's just gotten more highlighted. And I think especially since I'm more keen to it, right? Because I'll honestly tell you, I haven't paid attention to politics majority of my life. Maybe the last 8 years that I've actually paid attention to it. And honestly, it's because my pops got heavy into it, or he's always been into it, but I started hearing him more, right? My brother got into it surprisingly, and I started hearing him more. And it was like, oh crap, there's this whole other world out here. Right. And then, of course, as you dive deeper into YouTube, you start hearing about these things. So I think it's always been a problem. I think now we're just more keen to it, and it's just so it's such a big deal now because of the amount of immigrants that are coming across. And I want to say that just because we're keen to it now doesn't mean that it hasn't always been an issue, because it's always been something going on with immigration. And I got a story behind this. And this is kind of like where I take other people's experience and it helps me realize that we do have some issues. So one of my boys that he's part owner of a liquor store, right? He's from Suriname, matter of fact. Okay. He was sharing a story with me about how he got into his business, and he was actually giving me some game, telling me, because I asked him, I say, how did you come from Suriname and get a liquor store? Like, how did that happen? And he basically said, he goes, because Americans don't know what it's like not to have anything. He says, when we come over here, we see nothing but opportunity. And he got into his liquor store and he partnered up with a couple other people. Boom, they got a liquor store. Now he's starting his shipping company. But there's some things holding him back from making the shipping company to what he wants it to be. One of those things is he's still going through the immigration process. He said he has been going through this process for 4 years. He still hasn't got his papers right. And he says, sitting back looking at the news, he sees all these people coming in getting free handouts, and he still can't get through the process, and he's trying to do it the right way. So that was one of the gripes he had about the current state of affairs when it came to immigration and the asylum seekers coming across the border. He said that it's hard he can't even get his Florida's driver's license because of him not having his actual immigration papers, but he's been going through this process for so long. So obviously there is a problem there. And if he's been dealing with that for 3 to 4 years, obviously the system's broken down somewhere. And then if you think about it, look what people are getting just because they're running away from whatever they're doing. Mm-hmm. It's the same way I look at all the money we're sending over to Ukraine, right? Mm-hmm. I look at, billions of dollars, right? We have these $1 billion contracts or whatever you want to call them. We say, okay, we're going to give this money to Ukraine. We're going to give this money to whatever other war we got going on out there, but it's a lot of money. Meanwhile, that type of money can be spent over here, and we could take care of some of the obvious issues that we have here stateside. So why are we putting a dog in a fight that has nothing to do with us, right? People say, oh, well, because the United States is a superpower, right? So we're supposed to be kind of like what the moral compass, I guess, is what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be able to say, hey, don't do this. But we giving all that money away. But then we talk about the same amount of debt that we're in. Oh, we got a debt. Our GDP is all messed up over 3%, Well, I got $9 billion over in Ukraine that I don't know what we're doing with it over there.
Yo, hey, let me ask you a question. Did your boy from Suriname tell you specifically what it is that's holding him back from garnering his citizenship?
No, not necessarily. We didn't get that deep into it. He was just telling, because we were talking about the migrants and it came by casual.
So you know where my family from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say that for all of yours?
Do I know where my family's from?
Mine.
Do I know where all of your family's from? I would assume Haiti.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So my ethnicity is that I'm Haitian. My mom is straight from the island. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, circa 82. Now, my pops is also born in Haiti. They both came over here by first class airplane and never really had, anything, because as an immigrant, you already know what you're going through, right? It's tough for you to go ahead and get any legitimate jobs or things of that nature. But my grandmother at the time was a G. She was a merchant, so she would go ahead and be a traveling merchant and sell all kinds of goods and was very successful at it. made some good connections in her game. She couldn't speak English like really well, but she spoke what she knew to the 10th degree. You know, those people that have the confidence, and that confidence translates as, you know, a good business decision and just moves the sale along.
Mm-hmm.
I say all that to say that my family had to come here from a different country. The people above them had to do what they have to do to go ahead and gain their citizenship. And in order for you to gain your citizenship, you have to take a test. And I'm not going to lie, this test that you have to take, it's harder than most of the stuff that you've ever taken in high school when it comes to history. Like you study history in high school, right? 3?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's harder than anything we've ever had to do. They have to remember history better than Americans who are actually born here have to do. And, you know, people can say that me and my brother were anchor babies, but my mom didn't garner her citizenship because of that. She garnered her citizenship because she took the test. So I'm not sure what homie from Suriname is going through, but I hope that he gets everything situated, because clearly he's good peoples with you, and anybody who's good with you is good with me. So it's like, I don't know how much of his story will have weight with me, considering that I understand that would be a big problem, right? I'm here and I'm trying to do it the right way. I can't get what I need to get the right way, and everybody else is coming illegally and they're going ahead and getting it, no problem, no issues whatsoever. I would be upset too. I'm not gonna lie and say, oh no, that's not a big issue. That would be a big problem. But I don't know what specifically is holding him back, so I can't speak on that situation. But best of luck to your homie, my guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll figure it out. The man got multiple businesses, bro. Even without it, he got business. So, hey, I hate to say that, but he's not getting too much of my sympathy. I saw his car.
You know what? You know what? And you know what? Let me speak on this, yo, from my heart. Somebody's finances should never matter when they're being wronged. Whether you got $1 million or whether you're just a plumber and you making, not a plumber, like just maintenance, whatever, anything that you would consider an entry-level job that wouldn't make a lot of money, okay? It doesn't matter. If you're wronged, you're wronged. It don't matter of your money. So whether he could have 6 businesses, 10 businesses, but they're doing him wrong, I'm always going to have blessings for your homie. It'd be like, yo, best of luck to homie, because it's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Fair is fair. It doesn't matter whether you have money or not. Fair is fair.
I'm with you, big dog. I'll pass the message on. He'll subscribe, so he might see it. So let's check this out, man. All right, we go close this out real quick, and we're not gonna spend too much time on these. But I did just want to give a shout out to some of the people out here working hard.
Yeah.
And we also got another clip that I want to look at. This is where we pushing people to. So let this load up, it's processing right now. But first of all, shout out to everybody who do the jobs that I don't want to do, because they put their life at risk. So let's look at this first one. And let's give people a new appreciation about that joy we get when we can flip a light switch and we got light, or you turn on your PlayStation 5 and it comes on and you get the game all day. Or maybe even charge your phone so you can watch Labor Lounge on YouTube, right?
Hey.
Let me show you some of the risks these people out here going through. Watch this.
Okay.
They need to get to him fast.
Look at my man. He up on a light pole in this little box on the boom. It done caught on fire. My man is screaming. Now, the only reason I'm showing this is because this man made it out as safe as this situation could have possibly turned out. But this is what people are doing to make sure we can flip that light switch in the morning. Look at this.
Yo, it's hot, bro. It's hot.
Yeah.
Like, when I tell you it's hot, bro, like, when he's screaming, it's because that heat coming off of that is...
Oh, man.
Yo, just the heat being this far was enough to burn your skin, bro.
Boy, it's hot.
Yo, you remember what I used to do, right?
Yo, what?
Dog, I used to go ahead and run cable. So it's like I was up on the lines and I would have the lift trucks come over there to come do all that. So they used to work hand in hand with me. Sometimes, shoot, you might have to go up there yourself, dog. Like, it don't matter. Yo, I was up in the air 30 feet. 30 feet, my friend. That's a few stories, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you a few, like, my big ass was up in the air, slam dunking on a wire that we call the strand. Okay. Yeah. And the strand is rated for 3 tons. So you're not gonna bring the strand down. It's a steel cable. You know what I'm saying? And it's steel braided cable. Yo, man, being in that air, bro, it's no games, man. So shout out to homie over there, bro. He was going through it because when that fire, look, just the fire being by, I can't even describe it because our screens ain't even that big, but just 4 feet away is enough to go ahead and have you over there choking. Mm-hmm. Let alone the distance that the fire started to come. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what happened initially, but if I was homie, I would have walked down the arm. You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, slide down the arm. I would have hugged it and tried to like army crawl down the arm because the arm is like this. If the other boom truck didn't come in time, he would have got burnt up. He was on the opposite side, but there was the arm of the actual thing. That's the only thing that would have been the most sensible thing. You would have had to do it because, Jesus, man, that's just a bad situation to be in.
So bad. Shout out to everybody who deal with them electrical lines because that stuff is dangerous, bro. One of them things pop, you getting electrocuted and it's slim chances after that. So shout out to him. I'm glad he made it out safe. But them boys work quick though, because them booms don't necessarily move that quick. So that driver had to be in the cockpit sweating. Trying to get that guy over here to get him out that other basket.
The driver is the only one doing it. So one, nobody knows where the driver was to begin with because he had to get there. They don't have two lift trucks there. You know what I'm saying? There's usually just one lift truck to do the job. So they had to call Buddy from somewhere else. He had to go ahead and run over there and set everything up the first time because you got to place your vehicle in the right area to be able to get up and lean over. He had to do that the first time. So my man's skills went into play because if he messed up and had to go back down there, homeboy would have been barbecued, bro.
All right. So we got another little clip. This one here is going to be a little bit more on the comical side, but nonetheless, it's something that we have to deal with working in retail. Right? And you know my story about when I worked in home improvement. When them cell phones come out, bro, you tighten up real quick. Watch this.
Why are you recording me? I'm not talking to you. Why are you recording me?
Because you're being aggressive.
I'm not being aggressive with you. You are the one being aggressive. You get mad at me because of what my boss told me to tell you.
You're screaming at me. I'm walking away.
Steve ain't here.
Like, that's crazy.
That's my wife, bro.
All I did was I came in.
I ain't got nothing to do with it.
All right. So check this out. Hey, man, I'm not going to lie to you. It's frustrating, dog. When the cameras come out and people be feeling entitled, they come in there and they think they could treat us service workers like they, like we don't have emotions. Like, you can't get this smoke. Now, the dangerous part of this situation, again, I'm going to assume that this wasn't a skit. Did you hear old boy say, "This is my wife"? My man say, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
That's your cue right there. Like you might get these hands. You might get these hands because again, this man got the camera out. He's obviously looking at his wife, highly emotional at the moment. You know that instinct kicks in, like protector mode instinct kicks in. Like that could have got ugly for old boy.
But
we don't have too much context. We don't have too much context of what actually happened, but I'm almost 100% sure for the worker to be going off like that. And she said, you mad at me because my boss told me to tell you what's up. That's how it be. We get direction, we execute direction, and then you get all the blowback. So I don't know, man. I kind of felt that.
Listen, I think there's a potential, right? There's a lot of potential for everything. We didn't see a lot in that clip. How did she deliver her boss's message initially? Did she feel empowered by his words to go ahead and talk to him, whatever like? You know, because who knows what the message was? I don't know what the message was. She said the message, but was she saying the message in the same way that she was talking on the camera? I don't know. Homeboy felt the situation was real enough to go ahead and pull out the camera, right? Because how many times does the camera really come out unless it's something that's getting turned up? Now, on the flip side of things, I understand that the camera can definitely be frustrating. Completely understand. My guy, you and I are products of a different time. We know that there is a decorum to go ahead and uphold. You have to understand that you are in a public space. You cannot do anything about the cameras. Stop being fixated on them. Stand your ground with what you said originally. Say it in the same fashion that you said it in before. And call it a day. All right? Eventually, you're going to part ways because we're not saying anything. We're having a circular conversation. You call it a day. Okay? Yes, have a fruitful conversation. Yes, go ahead and be receptive to feedback. Yes, go ahead and explain it to the customer. Yes, de-escalate the situation. No, don't go ahead and let your emotions go ahead and get the better of you. Don't do that. Because once the person puts the camera out, you going ahead and turning up like that is not going to do anything for the situation. It's unfortunate. I'm not mad at you for being mad because I would be mad too, right? But the one thing I would know is, shoot, man, I can't go ahead and turn up right now, but boy, I'd like to put a fist in somebody's face for this camera. All right, sir, listen, I apologize that you're not happy with the answer that we've given you, but unfortunately, this is what's going to, this is how it's going to be. And unless you have any new information to provide, I'm going to go ahead and, part ways right now, humbly and respectfully. Okay. Thank you. You take care. Feel free to contact corporate. I'm out. Okay. There's decorum. You got to know what to do. You can't turn up when you're an employee. It's not acceptable. I understand that you're stressed. I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong for being stressed. What I'm saying is you're at work.
Yeah, that's always going to play out. When you're on the clock and you got your name on your chest, it's a harsh reality that you gotta keep your composure. So not gonna argue that it is what it is, but could have been dangerous, especially with the husband there.
He wouldn't have garnered anything though. He would have got a charge.
No, it's not about garnering anything. I'm just talking about the threat of violence. I'm not even talking about the right or the wrong aspect of it. Just the fact that, when you have spouses involved in situations that are tense, it just tends to be a lot more. It escalates the situation a lot more, right? And oftentimes it doesn't necessarily play out the way that we saw it here. A lot of the times the way that it plays out is you might be dealing with the husband in the situation, and then he leaves, the missus comes back because she's not happy with the way the husband handled it. So now you're trying to explain to the missus about what happened with the situation. Now the husband is hot because the missus is still mad, and he just wants to get this over with because he's low-key embarrassed. And that's how these situations tend to escalate. That's just what happens. Bro, listen, 20 plus years of experience, I'm telling you. There's times where you can deal with the husband and it's perfectly fine.
Right.
2 hours later, a Brahma bull comes through the door. It here he is with the other half, and now his whole tone has changed simply because she's there. And I've seen it happen vice versa too, where you deal with the missus, she's good, husband don't like it. Now he come back up there with all kind of cuss words and choice language. It's like, you know, sometimes it's best to deal with people while they're both there, but it just don't happen that way sometimes. So when that man said, that's my wife, I just know how those situations can be. Because as calm as I'm talking about it now, it takes a specific person with a certain level, like you say, decorum to be able to handle that situation. Because people don't care about you when you're in the service industry, especially when they're trying to get what they want. They don't want to hear nothing about your policy. They don't want to hear nothing about your best practices. They just want to feel good when they walking out that door like they got what they feel they deserve. And that's one of the tougher parts about being in that industry. You know, trying to keep that customer happy, but also doing it between the guardrails that you have surrounding you. Retail. Yeah.
Yo, retail is a monster because retail deals with fatigue from both sides. And it's unfortunate because you got people that work at retail that become fatigued with people that come from their job that are already fatigued. So you got two fatigues meeting each other, and that just doesn't make for, you know, a productive interaction.
How two people fatigued, and when the pot boil over, they got so much damn energy. It's like you know what it is? It's a mental fatigue. That's what it is.
Yo, frustration will wake you up. When you get mad, you will swell up like the Hulk, and you don't even know you're doing it. You don't even know you're doing it, bro. Like, you just sitting here like, yo, bro, I know you ain't saying what you're saying. Yo, bro, I know you ain't saying what you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's been times I've been at work, and it's, can we get a manager to the front? You walk up there, and they're talking, and you throw out a couple solutions, and nothing's working. Mm-hmm. And you're listening to this story for the 13th time. Like, you understand the situation 100% back and forth, but they keep telling you, and you giving them the things that you can do, not necessarily saying no. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I can feel my face change. Like, it goes from this to just. It's like, yeah.
Hold on. You ready, dog? You ready?
Hey, sometimes they just wear you out so much, you just like, man, I need to find a way to give them what they want because I need to get up out again. I'm telling you. Listen, sometimes they wear you out, man, and you know what? I try
start off like,
yeah.
You end up like
now you in the
then
office.
It go from that to
oh man. But check this out. We got one more clip. This is the last one, I promise. We got one more clip.
He lying. Y'all get him.
We got one more clip, and then we gonna be up out of here. So let's look at this clip. This is what happened when situations boil over.
A McDonald's employee who was packing heat is now facing charges because she fired that gun at a customer. Lakeland police say Chastity Gardner did it because the customer said she got their order wrong. Fox 13's Jennifer Vaglis joins us live from the newsroom. And Jennifer, a wild encounter that really could have ended badly.
Yeah, Haley, luckily no one was injured, but LPD officers call it make mayhem, and it was all recorded on surveillance cameras. A violent altercation ending in gunfire at this 24-hour McDonald's on Memorial Boulevard East near Gilmore Ave. According to the arrest affidavit, 22-year-old Chastity Gardner was working the drive-thru around 1 Friday morning. A customer who police called the victim went through the drive-thru with friends in the car and put in 2 separate orders. The victim told police Gardner got their orders wrong. Surveillance video begins when they expressed that to her. You can see Gardner throw a drink at them through the window. The customers then reach through the window and throw cups at the employees. When more words are exchanged, the customers reach back in and throw a cup with liquid at Gardner. You can then see Gardner grab this bag. And it's not an order. It contained a firearm. Gardner then heads outside. The victims say they heard 2 gunshots and turned the corner into a nearby apartment complex, discovering 1 bullet hit the passenger side of their car. Now, again, luckily no injuries were reported. Police say Gardner told them a few different stories of her side of the story, but ultimately said she was in fear for her life, and what she fired was warning shots. Gardner was arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. Now, I tried to call the McDonald's about 3 times for a comment, but the phone lines were busy. Back to you, Haley. All right.
So when frustration boils over, now, again, right at the end, they said she felt in threat of her life. But like, you literally walked outside. Like, if I'm feeling threatened in my life, I'm not walking outside. I'm finna stay right here in these 4 walls. That lady, she had it up to here with your McDouble and small fry and medium Coke. She was done with it. She was like, you know what? And then you threw a cup at me, game over.
But she threw.
She out of pocket, bro. She wrong.
She threw stuff at the customer first. The customer's like, oh, hell no. Hops up in there. Whew. Take some cups. Here's some ice. Like just chucking it at them. That should have been the end of it. You threw stuff, they threw stuff back, call it a day, leave it alone. No, you went to go get the McBlicky, okay? You got the McBlicky out your McBag, and you went outside the McDoor and you busted a McBullet at them. You was tossing a McShell, and it went and hit the McSide door, all right? And now you in jail. What your husband gonna do? What your husband gonna do? Your husband gonna come over here and be like, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
That's gonna be a short right there. That boy say you went to get the McBlicky. You stupid.
Yo, for real though, bro. Like, yo, she went to go get the Mc. Listen, there is a very popular skit by a guy named Ace Vane, and he did this skit where this dude was coming to the McDonald's with his girl, and this guy said, yo, my man was talking all kinds of McDonald's recklessness. Okay, you should definitely go and find this. It's a very funny clip by Ace Vane. I know you guys know who Ace Vane is. Shout out to him. But yeah, Shorty went to go get the McBlicky. Okay. And
not the McBlicky.
Yo, she went to get the McBlicky. She went outside and she had to let them know, don't nobody be playing on my phone. Hate when keeping it real goes wrong. Dave Chappelle episode.
So, moral of the story is, man, not everything warrants the McBlicky. You know, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So you threw something, I threw something. You couldn't just live and let live. You had to go get the McBlicky with the mark. So you know what? You now you trying to avoid the Glock Dookie. So with all that being said,
I'm mad that you took the thought right out of my mind because I was thinking of the McGlock Dookie, dog. The McGlock Dookie. Yo, she hit. Now she got to deal with the McGlock Dookie.
But you know what, man? Listen, tensions are high out there. People are frustrated. Gas prices up, grocery prices up. the state of affairs with our political system right now. Shout out to LeBron James playing with his son, first time in history. I guess that's the silver lining to today's show. You know, a lot of good conversation is taking place. Again, I like having these conversations at a C average level simply because, you know, I don't want to ever come off as an expert about this stuff. A lot of it, I'm naive to it. So please don't get out there and hurt your boy. But I'm open to learn. I'm open to learn stuff, man. And the more we talk about it and the more we go out and we try to fact check ourselves, the better we're going to be at it. So with all that being said, that's today's show. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Labor Lounge Live. I know it's been a little bit, but we love doing this. And also remember, man, we got jobs. It ain't like this is a full-time thing. We do this. We do this when we can because, you know, I worked that retail life. My schedule changes all the time, and I'm getting yelled at by you all. Some of y'all probably done yelled at me out there in the streets, but you know what?
Some of y'all done pointed to Mick Blicky at him.
So with all that being said, man, I appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with us. For the people that may know me, I appreciate you for shopping with me. We call that Job Security Professor. Always a pleasure. Until next time, I'm out. We opening up a can of worms. Like, you could go viral tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in
Soul Connect.
to another episode of the Labor Lounge. We appreciate you. Labor Lounge, that's right, we can work it out. All that issue can't talk at work, we can talk about. Labor Lounge,